Now, I know you're all here for mchan, you're all here for Zelda, so I won't keep us waiting. We all know it is dangerous to go alone, and luckily, we have a hero of Hyrule here with us to show off a story of the ages. Here with The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past 100%. mchan338, please help us.
All right, hello everybody, and welcome back to Winter Pride 2023. My name is mchan338, and I am excited to be back to this event once again. Would my commentator please introduce themselves?
Hello, my name is Lord Fluffy. I just ran all dungeons Stormblood a little bit ago. You might have seen that already. But I'm here with another fantastic video game.
Yeah, and by the way, that was a great run. Looking forward to when you run Banjo-Tooie later on. So, for now, this is A Link to the Past. So, if we're ready to begin, let's go ahead and get started in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go! Alright, so this is The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. This is the third Zelda game in the Zelda series, and the category that I am running is 100%. So in 100%, I have to get all the heart pieces, all the heart containers, I have to beat all the dungeons, I have to get all the items, some items come in multiple tiers of upgrades, and if I'm able to get the highest tier right away, then I'm allowed to skip any other variation tier of the item. And then the maps and compasses are optional, and the Pawn of Happiness is that upgrades your bomb to arrow capacity is also optional. So right off the bat, something that's very hard to notice when you're just watching people do runs is I am doing a technique called pumping. So anytime I am I'm facing left or up, then I'm actually mashing the D-pad, and that's because Link's movement animation alternates between 1 and 2 pixels per frame, and when Link is facing left or up, then he starts off with a 2-pixel animation. And so what I'm doing is I'm mashing diagonal to reset his 2-pixel animation every time. And it doesn't save a whole lot of time, but it does add up to be a handful of seconds over the course of the run.
Yeah, so, in a case of, every single time he does this, it saves 0.1 seconds, and he does this 200 times throughout the run, right? That is effectively 20 seconds saved throughout the course of the run. Every little bit counts in the speedrunning spending, especially when you get to the higher levels of Link to the Past speedrunning.
Yep. So, coming in Hyrule Castle, basically, we have to go down the basement. Zelda's been kidnapped, and we have to go rescue her. And coming up in about a few rooms from now is the first item, normally would be the first item, which would be the blue boomerang, and we're actually going to be skipping it, which sounds kind of weird because it's a 100% run, we have to get all the items, but it is actually faster. There's an upgraded boomerang that we can get right away later on, and it is much faster getting that than to grab this blue boomerang and upgrade it later. Now, without the boomerang, you do lose a bit of time in a few places here and there, but it's not really too bad, because what you miss out on is the boomerang would otherwise grab items for you from a distance. That way you don't have to physically collect it. So you do lose a few seconds here and there, but it's not too bad. And coming up is our first kind of mini boss, which is the Ball and Chain Guard. It is a very difficult enemy, and he takes 8 slashes to defeat. So let's see how this goes. Nice, there we go.
Yeah, excellently done. Yeah, you can actually end up avoiding the attacks by staying very close to the guard because of the fact that the ball swings at such a wide distance. But you also run into the difficulty of if you get too close, then you take damage from being too close to the enemy. So very good job to balance the distance there.
Yeah, and he does 1 heart of damage, which is a lot this early. As you see, we only have 3 hearts, so you can very easily die to him. So now we got Zelda, and we gotta take her through the sewer section of the castle and into the sanctuary. And so as we get into the sanctuary, this will be the first instance of RNG. So in this game, every enemy will spawn in the same place every single time, but where they move is random. So a lot of the optimizations in this game comes down to how well can you read and react to the RNG patterns that are given to you at every opportunity.
Yeah, and the RNG can be in forms of, it's perfect, they're not in my way, I can take the quickest route whatsoever, and then sometimes every single one of the enemies will be in your way, and it's very difficult to properly move through them all without losing some time here and there. And it's unfortunately, because the movement is completely random every single time, there will be some times that you try and take the best line, and it's just simply impossible.
Yeah. So I do need Zelda and the lamp in order to push this bookshelf, and now we're going into the sewer section. So let's see what kinds of patterns I get. And the second room is pretty tricky to go through without the boomerang. With the boomerang, you can just stun these enemies and walk right through them. But without the boomerang, you either have to just tank damage in order to go through like a wall of snakes, or just slash them out of your way.
Yeah, every little bit of time that you have to spend slashing or walking in a slightly different direction is a little bit of time lost, but it's much better of an option than running into the enemy in question trying to tank through it, because you could get knocked back in a very bad direction that loses you more time as a whole.
Yep. And so in this room, the rats can go in a few different directions. What I just got there was kind of an average pattern. Sometimes you can go to the top left of the room, which is the worst case scenario, or you can go directly at you, which would be the best RNG. And then coming up here, if you hold right, then you skip a text trigger in this room, which saves a second. Sometimes these rats can hit you into the text trigger anyway, but that didn't happen, and we are out of the castle.
All right. Excellently done. We've saved Zelda. That's the end of the game, right? We just need to collect all the items now, right?
So in that chest is the only free heart container that we get, and every other heart container, we have to work for it. And even in the any percent category, most people would actually pick up this heart container because they only lose a few seconds to pick it up. And it's also for a slight buffer of consistency, as this is a very hard game, and later on, enemies will start to hit pretty hard. And so having the one extra heart can make a pretty big difference in your survivability later on. So,
Go ahead.
Now we're going to go to East Palace, and this would now be a good time to talk about that every category in this game has 3 different subcategories. So there's no major glitches, restricted, and unrestricted major glitches. And I'm running the no major glitches variation, which means that you will not be seeing any major skips or broken glitches that'll skip a large portion of the game. So what you're seeing is a more traditional route of the game that if you want to follow along, it's really easy to do that. Also, in No Major Glitches, we banned the use of save and quit. So when you save and quit in the game, then you'll spawn a different part of the overworld, which would actually save time. But we banned save and quit as kind of a legacy rule set throughout the history of Link to the Past speedruns.
Yeah, there's a lot of older games from the NES and SNES era that have like shortcuts either on their second controller or via just saving and quitting that will warp you to specific locations. And a lot of the older rule sets for these games did ban these specific tricks, so it is a legacy thing. But as it goes, sometimes tradition is fun.
Yeah. So here we are in East Palace. It's a pretty straightforward dungeon. Coming up in this next room, there's normally supposed to be 4 Stalfos, but if you move in a pretty specific way, then only 2 will spawn, and you can even you can even throw the pots at the Stalfos before they even spawn. And I know exactly where they're at, so you can just throw the 2 pots at where they're going to spawn, and they just die before they even show up on screen. Very
well done here. We're coming up now to Oh, well, I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. Sorry about that.
Yeah, so I'm gonna pick up those extra arrows in case I get unlucky later in the dungeon. Doesn't happen often, but it can happen. And yeah, so what Fluffy was about to talk about is the first sequence break, which is that coming up is going to be a room with a bunch of enemies, and normally it's going to kill all the enemies in that room, but I am going to do a damage boost and take advantage of the iframes to grab a pot surrounded by anti-fairies and reveal the switch right away without having to kill any of the enemies. Nice.
Yeah, very, very good. Yeah, there are a lot of Zelda games out there that use invulnerability frames to do tricks like that. Like in Ocarina of Time, for example, you can use the invulnerability frames that you have to grab some chests that are surrounded by fire. So it's a very similar type of deal to that in that particular case, to pick up the big key, which we now use to come over and grab the item of this dungeon, which is the bow.
Yep. And so the bow is a pretty powerful item, and that is going to be used quite a lot. And so throughout the run, I'm going to be racking up on lots of arrows, so I can use arrows in order to maximize damage as much as possible. The arrow management isn't super precise. Usually, the more arrows you have, then the more comfortable your strats are going to be. So that way you can use more arrows to save a bit of time in some other parts later on.
Yeah, other Zelda games will like route out their bomb counts or their arrow counts to like the exact amount you need throughout the run, which means you don't have room for mistakes. But also because the arrows are so useful for damage in this game, you end up just picking up more than you need in a lot of cases just to, maximize your damage output. In some cases, the RNG will help you. But here we are on the first boss here. We're going to have to be looking for a strategy here. Nicely done with the first few sets of it. The arrows are optimizing the damage here incredibly well. Well done. Perfect fight there. Getting all the arrows, all the arrows and all the damage in the exact spots needed. That is the first boss in the first dungeon down and dusted. Well done.
Yeah, so I actually fought Armos Knights in a way where the last Armos will actually turn red and regain all of his health, but the way I did that fight was in a way where where I can kill the last Armos before he turns red and gain all of his health back.
Yeah, and that ends up just saving that little bit of time, of course, from not having to start from the health pool all over again.
Yep. So now that we complete the first dungeon, we're going to go to Sahasrala's hut down over here, and he's going to give us an item called the Pegasus Boots. So the Pegasus Boots will allow us to dash, so our movement's going to be much faster from here on out. The pacing will start to increase, and so this will be our main movement tool throughout the game. So then I'm going to go back over here and grab some bombs as well as some rupees, and then on our way to the next part that we need to go to, I'm going to be performing a cool little trick here. Hopefully I can get it. Okay, very nice. So what I just did there is, you see I'm moving very fast, and that is what we call super speed. So by pressing A, the frame after I release my spin attack, then Link gets put into a state called super speed, and then if I come out of manual stairs, then I move really fast. And that is exclusive to Japanese 1.0. Which then we can talk about the versions. So this is Japanese 1.0 that I'm playing. The Japanese version, because there's fewer text boxes over every other language, so you save about a minute. And then I am playing on the 1.0 version of the game because some tricks, such as the super speed trick that I just did, only work on 1.0. So you save another minute over the course of the run. So that's about 2 minutes that you save playing this version over at least the English version.
Yeah, and of course, a lot of people don't know necessarily why sometimes the Japanese language is very faster for these older games. It's generally because the written language of the written language of Japan, the ability for us to say like a 5-letter word can be done in 2 characters in Japan, and that happens to consistently add up over time by having less characters that need to render. Therefore, the text boxes go by faster and end up saving that time.
Yep. And then another optimization that I did before the run even start is I have a one-letter file name, and that's so you can save the most amount of frames anytime the game prints out your name in this game.
So yeah, we're seeing that as we're transitioning through the overworld here, we're optimizing our use of the Pegasus boots by, dashing at the correct times, and also riding these walls in such a way that we won't bounce off the walls, but instead ride up them or down them a little bit here. And optimizing your lines with the Pegasus boots is one of the most important for saving the most time possible for this speedrun.
Exactly, and this next dungeon, which is Desert Palace, really demonstrates how useful dashing is. Much faster than walking, of course. So you might notice that anytime I'm dashing, there is a startup animation, so it's not worth dashing all the time. So a general rule of thumb is if where you need to go is about 4 tiles or more, then it's worth dashing. Otherwise, in some shorter distance, then walking is preferred.
Yeah, very similar to back walking and side hopping in Ocarina of Time in the sense that it takes a bit to set it up, but if you can get somewhere in 4 or 5 rolls, it's faster to do the rolls, but if it takes more than that, then back walking or side hopping would be more efficient.
All right, so for the time being, this would be a good time for Zokubun to read any donations or have any announcements.
Oh, I mean, it has been a pleasure watching you speed through this, mchan. Speaking of speeding through, I gotta let you know, these donations are speeding through what we have left of the Link to the Past any % bonus run. We are, I am proud to say, $24 away from having that met. $24, y'all, we're so close. And let me just hype that up a little. The estimate for this 100% run is 2 hours. The estimate that mchan gave me for the any % run, 4 minutes. Just saying, if you want to see some more fantastic feats of skill from mchan here. If you've got a little more time, I'll get those donations read for you.
Yes.
All right, well, let's kick off with this $10 one from Pines and Sunsets. No comment, but thank you so much for giving your money and time to fantastic cause. That is Point of Pride and also our event. And then we had a $100 donation from Anonymous, who says, trans rights, come on, let's play Zelda. You know what? It's looking like we're going to get to play some Zelda.
Trans rights. Yes,
Trans
very
rights.
good. Thank you very much for those donations. All right. So we're heading now into the second part of this dungeon. Very unique thing about this dungeon compared to most of the other dungeons in this game is that there are multiple entrances to different parts of the dungeon here. So we had to actually navigate outside, quickly picked up a heart piece to get back into this side, and this is the section of the dungeon where we'll eventually reach the boss and clear it out.
Yeah, so what I did earlier and what I'm about to do in this room as well is what's called a key dash. So normally when you dash into a locked door, you just bonk. But if you happen to dash into the door on your 4th pixel of your dash animation, then you can just dash right through the locked door. Now, fortunately, there are a bunch of visual cues to where you don't have to eyeball the 4th pixel every single time, and that just works out. But coming up is Landmola, so I will let you take care of the explanation of this boss.
Yeah, so Landmola is a very RNG heavy boss in the sense that where it comes out of the ground and what direction it goes, and also, it's all completely random. And the hitbox, the ability to actually damage it, is very tiny too. It's basically only the head part of the entire hurt box. So ideally here, we hit as they come out of the ground with arrows and take them out that way, but it's not always going to be possible to do that, unfortunately, just because of the fact, again, the randomness of where they come out of the ground and what direction they go. Sometimes we'll throw it out and we'll be slightly off the hitbox, but excellently done regardless. Very good adaptation.
Yeah, so that is unfortunately the first really difficult boss to optimize. Because of it's a bunch of reading and reacting in this fight, and if you're really good, you can do this fight within 2 cycles. But it's also random whether you get the 2 cycle or not, because what Landmola can do is what's known as a short hop, where he comes out of the ground less times, and therefore you have less times to get arrows in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that short hop is another facet of the RNG, which is just uncontrollable. So, very possible to get the 2 cycle, but you should more likely expect maybe a 3 or a 4 generally through the fight.
Yeah. All All right, so we're about to get our next heart piece here, and then we're about to do another 1.0 exclusive trick. It is called fake flippers. So right now, I do not have flippers, which means I cannot swim in water. However, if I land in the water and screen transition on the very last pixel before the screen transition, then the game allows me to swim. So I'm going to take advantage of that by swimming to a portal that will happen to take me a little bit further than to where I need to go, saving 6 seconds. But it can also be a risky trick because if I happen to get hit, then the game doesn't know where to put me, and therefore the game will soft lock. So hopefully that doesn't happen.
That would be the worst case scenario in this particular case. Let's see what we get here.
All right, so here's the fake flippers. And we're going to swim into the whirlpool, and we're good. So no soft lock, the run continues.
Yeah, it's a very short period of time in general, of which, you are in the fake flipper state, but it's still possible to eat a hit out of nowhere because of the RNG of the enemies and just end up soft locking. So while it does not last very much time, it is a literal one mistake, one getting hit, you're done. It's over.
Yeah, and you can get out of it by save and quitting, but of course, since this is no major glitches, we don't allow the use of save and quit, so it pretty much invalidates the run.
Yeah. So we're now going to be continuing with some dashes here. Ooh, that's a little bit of the case of RNG there, where you can't dash into those enemies. If you do hit them, they will zap you and stun you a little bit. So unfortunately, tried to dash around it, didn't quite get to it, ate a little bit of time loss, and that's just enemy RNG for you. Can't always get the perfect amount.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to be walking through here in the dark, but mchan knows exactly where to go and navigating this old man through it. Most of the sections that you do run through that are in the dark are just completely memorized at this point. mchan knows exactly where to go, but it can still be difficult because you don't necessarily know if there are enemies in the way where those enemies are going to be. But yeah, we're just currently walking the old man through this section, and when we are done navigating him to where we need to go here, he's going to give us the mirror. This is important for later.
Yep. All right, so I gotta avoid these boulders. The boulders are random. They fall down at random, as well as these enemies known as dead rocks. They move randomly, so you can very easily lose a lot of hearts climbing Death Mountain. Now, coming up is our first bomb jump, so let's see how this goes. Basically, I'm going to grab a heart piece, and then I'm going to set myself up in a very specific position to boost myself across a large pit.
Yeah, this is fairly pixel tight, and if it fails, we end up losing some time here. But it's not a complete run killer if it does happen. But let's see where we get here.
Nice.
Excellent, good work. All right, so had that failed, we would have had to take an alternate route to get to the next location we're going to. But because we managed to get it across, we save all that time. Excellently done. All right, and now we're a bunny. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Bunny State. All right.
Okay, so now we're heading to Mountain Tower, or the Tower of Hera. So basically, we got the mirror from the old man, and the mirrors, the intention is you go from the world that you just saw me in for a little bit, the dark world, to the light world, but also in the dungeon, the mirror can warp you to the beginning of the dungeon, which is really good in order to save some backtracking. Some dungeons involve lots of backtracking, and the mirror is just very good for minimizing that.
Yeah, unlike the Final Fantasy XIV dungeons you saw earlier, Zelda dungeons are not necessarily extremely linear in their design. So every time you can save time by just going back to the start of the dungeon and reaching the location quicker rather than walking the whole way. It's a very good use of the mirror as a whole. We gotta wait for all the enemies here to run at us, so we're doing a little trick here to negate basically all the damage by standing on top of these blue pillars as they are up. And once they are all done, we'll be able to progress through to the next part of the dungeon. Quick optimizations here with the Pegasus boost dashes. Get these torches lit up for getting the chest available. And once we grab the chest to give her the big key, we will warp back to the start of the dungeon to progress through the upper portions of it. And oh my goodness, The boss of this dungeon, I won't get into it right this second, but if you've played this game before, you probably have bad memories of it.
Everyone's favorite boss. No one has ever lost a run to him.
Absolutely no one. Never in the million years.
Yep. I'm gonna hit this switch, just in case things go wrong. But coming up is our next trick, which is another bomb jump. Normally, in order to get to this item, you're supposed to go up to the top floor and then fall down. Nice. But
Excellent.
by boosting across the pit, then I save that time from going around and falling down.
Yeah. And there's a few other locations where bomb jumps will be used in the run. Anytime you're able to cross a gap to sequence break like that. Okay.
I was gonna set myself up for to dash right through that bumper, but I was not in a good position, and I didn't want to waste too much time. All right, but anyway, here's Moldorm.
Yeah, so Moldorm's weakness is the rear of the boss. You want to hit this with as many spin attacks as you can get, because you have time to set it up. You can also do a Pegasus boost dash with it, but you don't want to get knocked back by it and fall off the edge, because if you fall off the edge, the whole fight resets, and you have to go back up to the top to finish it. Moldorm has a bunch of RNG in the sense of its movement, but if you manage to do it very excellently done like that, you can do it with basically no life lost extremely quickly, and favorable patterns can make it go very quickly. And yeah, there we go.
The most important part is if you don't fall off, then the fight is pretty much good enough. Because if you fall down, then the fight resets. He gains all of his health back. Also, if you get knocked into that center hole, then you fall on 2 floors, adding more to the time loss.
Yeah, so if nothing else, if you're going to get knocked off the side. But yeah, with that being said, we've gotten all 3 of the beginner dungeons down in this run, which means we have all 3 of the pearls available to us, which means we'll be able to pull out the Master Sword, which was the purpose of grabbing these 3 dungeons completed in the first place.
Yeah, so then after that, we're going to get the Master Sword, which we need in order to defeat the Wizard Aghanim, who has taken over Hyrule, and after that, then that should be the end of the game, right?
Yeah, that was the guy dealing with Zelda. Just collect the rest of the items, 100% done. No worries whatsoever.
Yeah, we'll be saving a lot of time on the schedule.
Dang, like we were like what, an hour behind going into this? Dang, you're really knocking it out of the park, man. You did it. So good. All right. So yeah, we're navigating through. Of course, again, this is meant to be a maze type of area, but mchan just knows the way. We come over, a bunch of animals will pop out, and there it is, the Sword of Evil's Bane, the Master Sword. We pull it out, and this is our first sword upgrade, basically, in the game. We started off with a basic sword. The Master Sword has additional damage, and also, if you are at max HP, the Master Sword will shoot an additional a circular blade laser thing, which can be useful in a few different locations to either kill some certain enemies or just knock them out of the way from a distance. And that, if we can maintain ourselves at full HP, will save us a few seconds here or there, versus if we're not at full HP.
Yep. So that's our first sword upgrade, and there is sometimes a downside with having sword beams, and that is that sometimes when you're killing an enemy up close, when you want to use your regular slash damage, the sword beams can sometimes overwrite the slash damage. But it doesn't happen very often, but when it does, it can sometimes be kind of frustrating.
Yeah, so there is a balance of trying to maintain, getting that damage from the sword when you want it, and damage from the laser when you want it as well.
So Zelda got kidnapped again in that set of dialogue that we just went through. So now we have to go back to Hyrule Castle again and save Zelda again. And we're going to go to another part, which is called Castle Dungeon, or a lot of people in the community like to call it Aghanim's Tower. So Castle Dungeon is essentially just a gauntlet of enemies in several different rooms that we have to fight through in order to climb our way up to the top. So we'll see how this goes.
Yeah, and the way the game intends for you to get here is via grabbing the 3 dungeons and the rewards from it, getting the Master Sword, and then using the Master Sword, we can break the barrier in front of the entrance here to get through it. And so that's what we'll be doing. The barrier goes down. We can walk through the doors, no issue. And now we're in Aghanim's town.
So there's a few different strategies that you can go about with this room. I'm going to do a strat called Sermon Up Din Din, where I just lure them to the bottom and then release my spin attack at a certain point and just defeats them with one spin attack. And then this second room, I do a spin attack there. There's also another strat that some people like to do where you just dash into them instead in order to manipulate what we call the prize pack. Which is essentially to make things simple. Enemies are under a drop table, and by killing specific enemies, then you can manipulate a fairy drop later on in the game. But in 100%, since you have a lot of hearts, I usually don't take advantage of the prize pool table at all.
Yeah, fairies are useful as a safety strat, especially when you get later on. As mentioned, the later you get, the more damage enemies do, to the point where in the very late game of Link to the Past, some enemies can deal without any damage reduction upgrades, can deal like 4 to 6 hearts worth of damage. They can deal a quarter of your life like midway through the game in a single hit. So, you know, any end-all safety that you can get, especially in 80% where you don't pick up these heart pieces, can be very important for saving yourself.
Yep. And this room is really hard without the boomerang. Especially with sword beams, because the sword beams can actually the enemies can actually hear your sword beams. So therefore, if you slash, then that red soldier can hear me and just charges at me. But we got to that room just fine. And now coming up is Aghanim. So I want everyone in the chat to get your guesses in as to how many blue balls I am going to get in the Aghanim fight. So the way the Aghanim fight works is Aghanim has a cycle of 5 attacks. The first attack is an energy shot, and then attacks 2, 3, and 4 is a 50% chance between an energy shot and a blue ball. A blue ball is a non-reflectable attack, so you just lose time if he gives you a blue ball. And then the 5th attack is a lightning attack. And then the cycle repeats itself until the Aghanim fight is over. Aghanim takes 6 hits to defeat him. So assuming you don't miss any guaranteed energy shots, then the worst possible luck that you can get is 15 blue balls, but it's extremely rare.
Yeah, it's more likely you're going to get 3 blue balls on average throughout the run, so 3 is a fairly safe bet for this.
Oh boy, we're at 2.
Not a good start.
Okay. Yeah, so the other optimization that I am doing is, if possible, I'm trying to hit Aghanim towards the middle. That way he can move from left to right less times.
Alright, still only at 2 blue balls so far. Got 1 more hit to go.
Okay, so I know that this is going to be a 3 blue balls because his next attack is going to be an energy shot. So 3 is pretty good. It's pretty average.
Yeah, ideally you want to get 2 or less because that will do, not have the second lightning attack come out for Aghanim. But overall, like 3 is about average, and that's like the average fight you're looking for. So overall, pretty good start. And now we have entered the second half of the game here, where we enter the Dark World.
Yep. So the Dark World has now has 7 more dungeons for us to go through, and then the final dungeon. So that's 8, and we got to go to the first Dark World dungeon, known as Palace of Darkness or Dark Palace. And after we complete Palace of Darkness, then the game really starts to open up as we can actually do the dungeons in several different orders. And because we have that option, we are going to take advantage of that by doing the dungeons in a different order than otherwise intended by the game.
Yeah, so even though there is sort of like an expected progression, which you can see on the pause screen where it says like 1, 2, 3, 4 on the location of the dungeons in question, if we can do something out of order and it's more beneficial to do so, then we'll just end up doing that just because of the time that it saves, because it's not one of those you absolutely have to come here type of situations.
Yeah, so as a result, the difficulty curve kind of goes a bit all over the place, because we'll be going from like we'll be going from a late dungeon to an easy dungeon, etc., etc. All right, so Kiki the monkey here, he wants 10 rupees for us to follow him, and then 100 rupees for him to actually open up the dungeon. While he's following us, you don't want to get hit, otherwise you have to find him again and pay 10 more rupees. Fortunately, I got really lucky and got a bunch of rupees, so I could afford to. If I actually did get hit, then it wouldn't be a big deal. But if you happen to come in here with like 110, then you have to find rupees somewhere.
Yeah, rupee routing can be pretty tight in this run. Sometimes you do get lucky with the drops, but in some cases, like, you'll have the exact amount you absolutely need, and then there's a couple places where the RNG can make you spend more. So you don't want that to happen, more or less.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this dungeon is going. Go ahead.
So we're just grabbing a couple keys, and then we're approaching to another bomb jump. So this is the hammer jump. At least coming up after I get these next couple of keys, and the hammer jump is a really difficult bomb jump for me to set up, as it is double pixel perfect. It is a pixel perfect bomb position and a pixel perfect link position in order to clip through a railing while at the same time setting up on a collapsing bridge.
Yeah, and every failure of this is going to cost a lot more time than your typical other bomb jump in some other locations. We're also making use of the mirror a lot in this dungeon because there's a lot of backtracking that we would need to do because of falling down, climbing up, falling down, climbing up. So mirror is also extremely useful for this dungeon as well.
Yep. So we're going to grab this key, and then we're going to set up for the bomb jump. So serious time for a little bit. Let's see how this goes. Nice.
Excellent. Very well done. So yeah, as you can see, the bridge was collapsing as that was being done. And if a failure had happened, not only would you have had to retry the trick as well, but you would have also had to reset the room as well to reset the bridge. But excellently done there to do that jump. That is like said, double pixel perfect. Thankfully, pause buffering does allow you to more easily get the lineup that you need. But even with pause buffering, it can go wrong.
Yeah, and what that skips is having to get 2 extra keys, as well as the dark maze, in order to get that extra key that I just picked up.
Yeah, so now we're going to push this little statue onto the switch to access the next room. And that was a huge part of the dungeon that we just skipped. We'll be coming up on the boss pretty shortly here. Quick little thing where these enemies will move with you in the specific direction. Right there is a little thing you can save some time with the beam from the Master Sword by not having to go the full direction to smack that switch to be able to press through. One of those locations where you will save that little bit of time by having full HP. So good job to still have full HP at this point.
Yeah, and yeah, there's 3 heart refills that you can pick up. So as long as you get to this part with at least 3 missing hearts, then you'll be able to have sword beams for this next part. Because otherwise, without full HP, you'd be menuing to bow, use the hammer, menu to bow again, use the hammer again. So you just lose quite a bit of menu time.
Yeah, just like Ocarina of Time, every single menu that you can avoid doing with the pause menu will save you a bunch of time. And that applies for most like Zelda games that use the pause menu. So making sure your equips and everything in that are as optimal as possible.
Yeah. No, maps and compasses are optional, as well as getting any other extra key is optional. Okay, so this is Helmasaur King. Would you like to talk about Helmasaur King?
Yeah, so Helmasaur King, you have to use the hammer first and foremost to destroy the mask that is on top of the Helmasaur King. I don't remember the exact amount you need to destroy it, but when
17.
17 hits will destroy the mask, at which point his face will be vulnerable to the Master Sword. We're doing a little bit of a trick there where you can keep the Master Sword, the spin attack charged while also activating the hammer, which will let you be ready to go with the first spin attack. And then from there, a few more slashes. Helmer Sword King is done. 17 hits is a lot, but you can make it go by very quickly because there's not an extreme amount of threat at the time. So excellently done. Another very quick kill. And the first dungeon down and dusted for the Dark World.
Yeah, so that fight did look really easy, and what can happen in that fight is he can either charge at you, he can shoot the fireballs, or he can do a tail swipe attack, and they each do 2 hearts of damage. And sometimes you can get really unlucky to where you can be at the bottom of the screen, Helmut Sword charges at you at the bottom of the screen, prepares his fireball attack, as well as the tail swipe, and you just lose a lot of hearts. So you just lose lots of hearts very quickly in that situation. Fortunately, that didn't happen, and we're alive.
Yeah, that's the first dungeon down, and we will collect our first maiden and head on over to the next dungeon. I believe we are not... This is where we start going into dungeons out of order, correct?
Yes.
Alrighty.
Yeah, so
Well, we've gotten our first dungeon down. I'm really sorry to interrupt. I'd like to just announce we've gotten another thing down. We have met the any % run.
Yes, thank you guys so much.
Yeah, if you've never seen a Link to the Past any % run, it's going to be so good for you to watch. You might have a good laugh. You might have a what the heck moment. It's going to be so great. So thank you so much for meeting that.
All right, but yeah, like what Fluffy was saying, this is actually, so we are going to start doing the dungeons out of order. In most categories, we're going to be doing the 4th Dark World dungeon as early as we can. But on our way there, there's a lot of things that we gotta collect. Since this is a 100% run, so this is actually a very long stretch without doing a dungeon for a little while. So first things first, I'm actually gonna go down over here and grab 300 rupees because we do need 300 rupees, or we do need more rupees in order to buy stuff, as well as do some mini games that are coming up. So actually, coming up is going to be the digging game. So I want people in the chat to make your guesses as to how many tries it's going to take me to get the heart piece from the digging game, and we'll explain what it is when we start doing it.
Yeah, I'm gonna say we're getting that RNG. We're getting first try. That's my guess.
First try. Ooh, that's very bold.
Extremely bold guess, but you know what? I feel it. I feel it in my heart. We're getting it this time.
Oh, 20? Oh man, some of y'all have no faith.
Yeah, the worst part is I've actually seen 20 before.
Yeah.
It is the worst feeling. Yeah. All right. So we're coming up now on a part of the game where we pick up a flute. The flute will allow us to fast travel. We're going to be setting up a trick here to avoid a cutscene of some animal spawning, because the animal spawning it's anything like it's your typical cutscene where you get locked in place and have to watch something. You lose time if you end up getting it. So we're going to set up a position here very specifically to pick up the flute where it spawned. And the moment that we pick it up, we transfer immediately back to the Dark World, which skips that animation and saves the time.
Yep. All right, so now we're approaching the digging game. So the way the digging game works is it is 80 rupees per attempt, and we're just basically digging a lot of holes. It's a great minigame. The first 25 holes that you dig has a 0% chance at getting you a heart piece, and then every other hole after that is a 1 out of 32 chance. So assuming you dig optimally, then your maximum odds add up to being 1/3 of getting a heart piece per attempt at the digging game.
Yeah, so the ideal situation here with optimal digging is even if you don't get the heart piece on the first try, you do still at least get a good chunk of rupees to make back as much as you can, or make up more money than what you'd get normally. Doesn't look like we got lucky this time around. Ooh, unfortunate.
All right, so that was the first attempt down. So now, guess what? I gotta leave the screen, come back, and try again until I get the heart piece.
Yeah, so this is obviously a big RNG part of the run. You can lose minutes here to not getting the heart piece to spawn. Ideal situation, of course, is that you get it like right on that 26th dig, but didn't end up happening this time. So now we try again, and once again, you're trying to get those rupees to make up as much of that loss of funds as you can possibly get here.
And for context, if for anyone curious, the worst anyone has ever gotten in this minigame is about 60-something tries, very long time ago, by a runner named Incroyable BB.
Yeah, so not a chance on the second try, unfortunately. So we're gonna have to go for a third try here. So I think while we do in the third try, we got a good time for a quick donation.
Yep.
Absolutely. Well, I just wanted to first give a shout out to our lovely friends who just rated over. And if you're just joining us, you're watching Winter Pride 2023. We are supporting Point of Pride, which is a trans-led nonprofit organization serving tens of thousands of people in all 50 states and 100 plus countries by providing access to gender-affirming health and wellness services. Woo, words. I'm sorry, I'm just really excited about our cause. Also, I'm really hoping that you get lucky, mchan. So, I'm just trying to speed through this. We did meet our any percent incentive at the end of this run. So mchan will be doing an additional any percent run after this 100% run. And that was made possible by a generous donation from our next runner, actually, who is Sinpyro. They sent in the last $24 we needed and said, it's time for some any percent magic. Sinpyro, you are wonderful. And again, Sinpyro is doing our next run, which is a Link Between Worlds randomizer. But they also have an incentive open for that. You can help determine let me just double check, our file name for that. Now, Lonk is way in the lead at $390.
Yes,
compared
there we go.
Nice.
All right, fourth try is good. Keep going.
Well, Lonk is way in the lead, but Lonk isn't too far behind at $125. And you know what? Every little bit counts for a cause as important as this. And you can donate as low as $1 if that is what you can afford to give. Of course, only give if you are able to. But your donations go to help Point of Pride again, which is such an important charity helping trans folks around the world.
Okay, so we got the heart piece within 4 tries. So each attempt is about 40 seconds time loss. So unfortunately, when you're just grinding attempts, this is unfortunately one of the biggest roadblocks for attempts. So if you look at the leaderboards for this specific category, there's not very many people who run this category. And even then, the names that are on that leaderboard, most of them don't really run this category long term, because there comes a certain point where your time just comes down to getting really good luck and executing everything. So unfortunately, since this is about like 40 minutes into the run, 40 minutes, don't get the good luck, reset, try again, hope that you're lucky again. So there not very many people really run this category long term as a result.
Yeah. Real quick here, we're playing the flute in front of the statue, the what are those even called? The statue, basically. Let's just call it that.
Weather vane.
Weather vane, thank you. The thing that tells you which direction the wind is going. Anyway, by playing the flute in front of the weather vane, we actually spawn in this bird from it that actually is going to act as our fast travel. Now we have access to fast travel, where we can go to any of these warp locations, and this will allow us to traverse through the world much quicker as a result.
Yeah, and actually what I just did there is an item dash. Normally, after you play the flute, you can't actually play the flute again for about a few seconds, but by item dashing, then you can just use the flute right away and spawn the bird right away and fly into the location that you want to fly to. And actually, we didn't talk about item dashing. So when you use an item and dash on the same frame, then you're able to use the item and dash at the same time. And you saw me do it a little bit earlier with the hammer, and it's actually more common to use that with the hammer.
Yeah, when you use it with the hammer, you saw it earlier, any of those pegs that you can smack down with the hammer, you'll smack them all down along the way. And it looks very funny, but it's super efficient as well.
Yep.
But yeah, the reason the estimate is so high compared to the PB of mchan is entirely because of the RNG. And we're not done with the RNG, unfortunately. There is another RNG thing that we'll have to do later that could take multiple attempts, could also be very quickly. So having that safe estimate just in case of very terrible luck is a smart thing to do.
Yep. So we're actually coming up to the chess game pretty soon. So again, get your guesses in chat as to how many tries it's going to take me to do the chess game. Fortunately, really fast to retry, but you could also get extremely lucky where it could take a lot of tries as well.
Can I ask what the highest amount of tries you known is?
For chess game?
Yes.
Okay, I believe it is 80 tries by
Oh my
clan.
gosh.
Yeah, it's pretty rough.
Well, best of luck, mchan.
So the way the chess game works is it's 30 rupees to open 2 chests, and the prizes can be either rupees, bombs, arrows, and then a heart piece. 1 in 8 chance to get a heart piece. Unfortunately, though, there is a glitch in the Japanese 1.0 version where you cannot get the heart piece from the first chest, so you just have a straight out 1 out of 8 chance of getting the heart piece on the second chest. So we'll see how this goes.
Yeah, I'm thinking back now to Dompe in Ocarina of Time, where the highest somebody took, I believe, was in like the 218 or something like that. Was the highest.
Oh my gosh!
The highest amount of attempts it took to get a Dompe heart piece at one point, and that was using the trick that they use to save time per attempt, but doesn't guarantee it on the 15th. So here we are in the chess game. We gotta open 2 here. Again, can't get it on the first one, so we have to go for the 1 out of 8. Retrying it, of course, is still pretty quicker than the digging game. We just go in and out of the building and can try it again. And we're on the second attempt here.
Nope.
We did get a lot of rupees, but unfortunately, gonna have to try it once again. I'm gonna go with 4 from what I've seen here. I'm gonna say it's 4.
All right. I'm getting a lot of rupee luck, but where's the heart piece?
Not what you're looking for. That's 3 attempts. Here we go for number 4. So yeah, of course, you know, sometimes with speedruns there are these unavoidable RNG factors that you have to deal with, and you know it's reasonable. It's reasonable when you enjoy a game, but you don't want to do a specific category because you get 50 minutes into the category, and then you have to reset from something completely out of your control. And yeah, that's just an unfortunate downside to the 100% run, where around the 45 to 50 minute mark, there is now this big couple of RNG sections here that you have to go through. But even still, like, these runs can be extremely fun, and very often, even with poor RNG, that's just time saved for the next run, you know? So...
yeah, Link to the Past runners are gonna think this is a little uncharacteristic. There it is.
Alrighty.
But yeah, Link to the Past runners are probably gonna think this is a little uncharacteristic for me because I'm generally known in the Link to the Past community for being the luckiest runner, but unfortunately, this run did not prove it.
Yeah,
Sometimes you just get marathon luck.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah, and other
so I
times
think that was 7th try.
Yeah,
right?
7th
was that
try.
7? Okay.
I think so. Yeah. Well, I think it was. I think it was 2nd try in the previous marathon. I commentated for you.
Yeah. I think we got the last marathon run that I did, which was fastest first. I got that first try.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he was first try. I was like, I knew the RNG was pretty good at fastest first. I just didn't remember exactly what it was. Dang. Let's go. All right. Anyway, we're now into the next dungeon. We already picked up the big key. You can get it fairly early in this dungeon, and a lot of the movement here is just going to be taking these straight lines and dashing through them as quickly as we can.
So for those who are keeping track, this is actually the 4th Dark World dungeon. We skipped dungeons 2 and 3 for now.
Yeah,
so coming up is the Heck Way. There's another name for it, but I'm keeping it friendly here. And it's essentially just a long hallway full of lots of enemies. They move randomly, and well, it lives up to its name. It's a bunch of heck, and we got through it just fine.
Yeah, you can get bonked an extremely large amount of times in that part of the dungeon. But thankfully, it wasn't too difficult that time. There's, of course, also that track that's moving backwards that'll slow you down as well. So every time you do get hit, it can make you lose even more time than usual because of it.
Yeah, and also there is a pixel-perfect position where you can dash straight through, but it's random even then because the enemy's just get in your way and then you just don't get the dash anyway.
Alrighty. So, you might have been noticing there's some light coming in from the ceiling in this dungeon. That will not be relevant for anything later, I guarantee you. As we are progressing through here, I think we have a time for a quick message.
Absolutely. Well, Fluffy, actually, this message concerns you because we met our any percent target, but we have a new target open, and that is for our bonus game 2 of the event, the Banjo Tooie run, being run tomorrow at... Ooh, let me see. This is a familiar runner name. Lord Fluffy?
That sounds familiar. I think I've heard of that guy.
Yeah, well, if you've been loving Fluffy's commentary here or at the amazing Final Fantasy XIV run that they did just earlier, you're not going to want to miss this Banjo Tooie run either. That's happening tomorrow, 3 p.m. Eastern, or you can check out our schedule at our website or !schedule in the chat. But we do have to reach our $500 goal to meet it, so make sure you select that incentive in Tiltify when you make your donation. And you can also select a poll option while you're at it, so you can help make a difference in the name of the file name in the randomizer coming up next. You can make a difference in what character we choose for Chameleon Twist coming tomorrow, or what pride flags we get to make stickers of in Sticky Business, also a run tomorrow. So go ahead, !donate in chat. You will see those incentives and select them both.
Well, I hear
love you
boss
for
music.
it.
What could this mean? It's blind! Oh my goodness.
So I lied about the light, by the way. It was entirely relevant to this dungeon. All right, so because this is the fourth dungeon, you are expected to have more tools at your disposal here to take care of this. However, every single time... my train of thought derailed here. But thankfully, every single time it is going to do the same thing. A few hits, a head will spawn, another head will spawn that you have to take to target the main body. Once 2 heads are spawned, it is the final. A few hits, take it out. For dungeon number 4, done and dusted. And that is the second one complete.
Yeah, so a lot of people remember this fight being really hard when they played through this game, but actually blind is not RNG. So if you can fight him the same way every single time, then it's a very consistent fight. Messed up a little bit, but thankfully it didn't go too off-pan.
Yeah, it can go off the rails pretty quickly, but as mentioned, you can do it pretty much the same way every time as long as you're consistent with it. So we picked up an item in that dungeon, which I believe was the Golden Glove.
Yeah, the Titan's Mitts.
The Titan Mitts, that's what they're called. Me and the Ocarina of Time runner in me says Gold Gauntlets.
Alright, so we're gonna get the so this chest right here normally is supposed to contain 300 rupees, but because I didn't get the boomerang in Hyrule Castle, it actually is the red boomerang, which is the upgraded boomerang. So getting this boomerang is much faster than getting the blue boomerang and upgrade it later from Hyrule Castle. And actually, we cannot go back to Hyrule Castle anymore, which I believe would be the reason why the red boomerang is in that chest instead.
Yeah, it's basically giving you like, oh, he doesn't have the boomerang in his inventory. Well, I mean, here you go, but here's an accessible way to do it. So, yeah, just getting it there, even though we lose some time for not having the boomerang earlier, we end up saving time by being able to just grab it right there at the end of the day. You're seeing some item slides here with the hammer. As you see, you can knock all these pegs down way, way quicker to do this than to knock them all down individually. Pick up another heart piece here real quick for another item slide. Get on out of here.
Yeah, so the reason we did the 4th Dark World dungeon as early as we can is so we can get the Titan's Mitts to pick up those dark stone rocks that this dwarf was trapped behind, and we take him back to his smith's shop, and we're going to turn our sword for 10 rupees, and what they're going to do is they're going to temper our sword, and this actually upgrades our sword. So now we're going to do an extra 3 base damage generally, and this is actually a really good sword upgrade that even in the any percent run we pick up the sword upgrade.
Yeah, so damage is not entirely consistent in this game in the sense that, you know, if something is going to deal like 4 damage, you will always deal 4 damage. Certain enemies will take more damage from certain attacks or less damage from certain attacks, and it's not entirely consistent across the board. But here we go. By using magic powder here on this little chalice, a bat will come out and curse us to get rid of half of our magic. But what it actually does is reduces our magic cost by half.
Yeah, they kind of trick us. The dialogue kind of tricks us there, but yeah. So this is actually a magic upgrade. So now we can actually, it's essentially double magic because any item that we use that consumes magic gets reduced in half.
Yeah, as a kid, that scared me because I thought I legitimately only had half magic going forward, and I tried to frantically reload, but it didn't work, unfortunately. But thankfully, it is, of course, misleading. It is an upgrade and not actually a detriment.
Yeah.
All right, so we've picked up this chest here. The reason being is we're going to take it over to a locksmith NPC over here who's going to open it up and give us the contents inside. That NPC over here.
Oh. So I was trying to do a trick there where if you use the flute on the frame after saying yes, then you can use the flute and save about a couple seconds. Didn't get it. That's okay.
Not the biggest time loss in the world, but it was still a cool one to get if we did get it. There we go. Titan Mitts will allow us to pull up that block right there. And now we can get into the dungeons in the dark version of these woods.
Yeah, so this is the third Dark World dungeon. And this is our third Dark World dungeon that we're going to be doing. So it kind of works out that we're going in order in that sense. But this dungeon is a very complicated dungeon. The intention is there's several ways to go into this dungeon, and you get lost a lot. But since I've done this dungeon many times, I know the fastest way through this dungeon. So this dungeon is actually pretty fast to go through. Unfortunately, very difficult because these Gibdos, they hurt quite a lot.
Yeah, and there is also an enemy, the Wall Masters there, the hands that come down. If those land on top of you, which is possible to happen sometimes via both not paying attention or just some bad luck, you get warped back to the beginning of the dungeon, which can be useful in the same way, of course, using the mirror can warp you back to the entrance. But if you're just trying to progress through and you accidentally get grabbed by one, it is a huge time loss.
All right, so coming up is another bomb jump, which all right, good. And this saves from having to fall down a hole somewhere in order to get to this room.
Yeah, and the fire rod will allow us to light torches from a distance, which previously we had to use the magic lamp item in order to do that. But now, since we can get them from distance, this will assist with a few locations later on in the game, as well as for one location later on in this dungeon.
Yep. Yeah, it's another powerful item. Can even defeat those Gibdos in one shot, which is going to be pretty useful in coming up in the main part of the dungeon now.
Yeah, the wrappings on the Gibdos will burn up and take them out instantly. A very common thread that wrapped up Gibdos will take more damage from fire sources in Zelda games, so no difference here from that regard.
Yeah.
We use the fire rod to open up this part of the dungeon. As you see, we kill one of the Gibdos there. We're trying to make sure that we take out all these Gibdos, light these torches, because we need to light them all in order to open up the door.
Yeah, I'm aggressively shooting fire rod shots, and this is how useful half magic is. Otherwise, I'd be losing. My magic bar would be empty by now if I was doing that. If I was being that aggressive without half magic. All right, so this is Mothula. This fight can either go really well or really wrong, and there's no in between. Okay, very nice.
Excellent. Good work.
Yeah, so basically, that was really fast, and what can happen is Mothula does not take damage if you damage him above spikes. So I was hitting him in a way where he's not going to take any spike damage, to where I can defeat him with as few slashes as possible while he's not over spikes, and it's very hard to do because the spike traps can move. The floor is constantly moving, and Mothula just moves at random, while at the same time he's attacking. So that fight becomes a mess the longer the fight goes on.
Yeah, it could be a fight that goes like 3-4 hits, or it's a fight that goes like 9 because it won't leave the spikes whatsoever.
Yep.
All right, 3 dungeons completed, 1, 3, and 4. Where are we going next? We're going to 2, right? We're going backwards from 4?
Oh, man. All right, so now we're going to warp away, and we're now going to get a couple items as well as the flippers. Flippers are very expensive, 500 rupees. Part of the reason why we needed to route in a bunch of rupees early on. And flippers will allow us to swim. And the next dungeon that we're going to go to is a dungeon called Ice Palace. And you can fake flippers to Ice Palace, but it's not faster to do that. And you need flippers anyway in order to do a later dungeon. So we may as well get flippers right now while we're at it.
Yeah, so coming up here is also where you would go to upgrade a few items that we will not be doing this time around, as you know, the items that we would be upgrading not required for the 100% category here as well. Talking about the Ice Palace, though, and talking about upgrade items, the item in a big chest in the Ice Palace is actually an item that we're going to be skipping because it's the tier 2 of 3 of an upgrade. So as we only need to get the highest tier of the upgrade, we will be avoiding that this time around. I'm going to throw that spike head into that circle, which is going to cause a medallion to spawn. Medallions are useful. There are a few. Each medallion, I believe, has a single use throughout the course of the run. They would be more useful as a damage sources if they were not stuck with such long animations. So we will only be using them at the specific locations in question. But they are still required for 100%.
Yep. Okay, so this would be another good time for a donation or announcement.
All right. Well, since we're in water, I want to point out that we do have a character choice bid war for Echo Jr., which is our third run tomorrow. That's third in the day. You don't have a lot of time there either. And the character choice, if you haven't heard of Echo, it's a game where you play a dolphin. I just want to point that out. You can choose between a dolphin, an orca. I need to double check this last one, but I believe it might be a shark. I'm not really sure of my marine animals, but Echo is a dolphin, and it is behind at $75 to Kidney at $135. So if you want to be swimming through Echo Jr. like a dolphin, go ahead and get a donation in. And while I'm at it, maybe you're not thinking donation, maybe you're thinking merch. We've got merch this event. Exclamation mark merch in chat will get you a link to our bonfire store, where our fantastic staff member Scala Kitty has come up with a bunch of amazing designs for the event. All proceeds, all profits will be going directly to Point of Pride, the charity that we're supporting.
All right, so now we're heading into Ice Palace. So Ice Palace is normally like a very complicated dungeon. It's very long. Like there's like several floors, ice physics, and then several puzzles. But Ice Palace features in the speedrun the largest sequence break of the entire game, which is as you guess, another bomb jump. And actually with this route, this bomb jump is required to do because the normal approach of doing this dungeon is you need the item from the second dungeon, which I haven't gotten yet. So I have to nail this trick.
Yeah, there is no real way around it besides this bomb jump with what we have currently available. And the routing just ends up being faster this way to save the second dungeon for later. So yeah, it is a huge sequence break in the grand scheme of things to be doing this.
Yeah. This also means we're skipping the big key, and we don't need the big key at all. I believe this is the only big key that we skipped in the entire out of all the dungeons.
Yeah, and part of the reason for that again is that the item of this dungeon is a tier 2 of tier 3 upgrade, and we only need to get the highest one to accomplish the 100% goal, says the rules.
All right, so coming up is the bomb jump. So let's see how this goes. Nice.
First try, very well done. That can go wrong. These pits don't always cooperate.
Just want to let that fireball hit me, so that way it doesn't hit me off, and then I would have to do the bomb jump again.
Yeah, it's a very smart decision. You take a bit of damage, but you can handle having that damage with the amount of hearts that you do have. One little thing about Link to the Past, which is different from a lot of Zelda games, is that picking up the heart containers from defeating bosses is actually required because the crystals and the medallions that spawn from the dungeons don't actually spawn until you pick up the heart container. So thankfully, even in any percent, when you get to this point, you'll still have a decent chunk of hearts to be able to take damage boost safety strats like that.
Yeah.
And
because I'm skipping the blue mail in this dungeon, that also means the boss here will do a lot of damage if something were to go wrong. But, well, let's see what happens.
Yeah, we do have a fairy in our back pocket that we'll have for safety. Pardon. But, it can go very, very wrong. So we use the fire rod to unfreeze the boss here, and from now, it is a matter of getting it up in this corner, doing what damage you can to the main body. Very well done. Excellently done here.
Almost really scary, but we got away with it.
Yeah, managed to adapt very quickly there, and that is what you're looking for when it comes to a fight there. It can go better for sure, but excellent adaptation there by mchan.
Yeah, and I was able to fit in some fire rod shots there. Without half magic, you have exactly 8 fire rod shots, and you need all of them to break the ice. So I would not have been able to use the fire rod shots in the second phase in order to do extra damage on to those puffballs. So the puffballs do 4 hearts of damage with just green mail, which is a lot, and it's really easy to take damage from those puffballs. And if you die, you just lose a lot of time because there's not a good way to shortcut this dungeon.
No, you'd have to do the bomb jump all over again, basically, alongside any other progression that you'd have to do. But thankfully, that dungeon is done, and now we're definitely going back to 2 this time, right? Not skipping it again, right?
Okay, so coming up is probably the scariest part of the run as far as dying is concerned. So I'm going to go into a cave full of spikes, and if I move correctly through that cave, then I'll barely make it through with just 1 heart. And I use audio cues in order to go through that cave, so I'm going to request serious time, which is right now. Nice.
Excellently done.
Oh, that was terrifying.
Yes. And
Yes.
I did pick up a fairy earlier in Beefstown in the off chance that this specific part went wrong. So now I have that for safety for the rest of the run.
Yeah, there is a way to gain invincibility to spikes via the use of an item in this game, which is how you're intended to do that. But with good movement, it is possible with the current amount of hearts that mchan has to just barely make it. So with that, we get invincibility from the spikes via that item, and then we just make our way back out.
And so now we're going to get Ether, which we need in order to enter the next dungeon that we're going to be doing, which is Misery Mire. And I'm at 1 heart currently, and the next heart piece I'm going to get before Misery Mire will bring us at 4 heart containers, or 4 heart pieces, which will then refill our hearts back to full. And having full, which is convenient because we want full HP going into Misery Mire.
Yeah, Misery Mire does not pull its punches in any way, shape, or form. Especially without the blue mail, Misery Mire will be a dangerous dungeon to be doing in this situation. But come over here, pick up the heart piece. We're back at full, and now we can enter Misery Mire with a lot more confidence in our brain.
Yeah. So this dungeon is, in my opinion, my least favorite dungeon. As Fluffy was saying, there are enemies in this dungeon that will do 4 hearts of damage, and And the reason is because you're supposed to have completed Ice Palace at this point, which I have, but I didn't get Blue Mail. So yeah, the enemies are going to do 4 hearts of damage as a result. So health management is very important because the fastest strategy in defeating the boss of this dungeon requires a lot of intentional damage.
Yeah, so with some enemies doing 4 hearts of damage, we're at 15 HP right now. We can take 4 hits from those enemies and then we're dead, which is, even at 15 hearts, for Zelda standards, that is a ridiculous amount of damage to be taking. So yeah, every little bit of HP counts in this dungeon. If we do lose any hearts whatsoever, there are a couple places where we can go a little bit out of the way just to grab some hearts for safety, but ideally we don't have to do that. Going through right now, progressing, getting some keys to be able to progress through here. As usual, keys are very useful for progressing through dungeons. When you can, pick up one key, skip others. It makes the key routing a lot different. Not really the easiest thing in the world to do with Misery Mire, however. I think it's pretty much impossible to skip keys in most places here. Don't quote me on that, though, because I'm not quite sure.
So here's a cool little trick here. Oh, okay. I guess we'll hit this torch. Ooh, oh boy, that was close. So you can actually shoot the fire rod through the blocks while they're moving. Which saves having to. You saw me light that torch the intentional way, and you don't have to do that for every single torch.
Does this animation always take this long?
Yeah.
Dang, I never remembered that. Well, anyway, there we go. We pick up the big key. As said, the Ice Palace is the only place where we can outright skip the big key, but we do need that for this dungeon. We still have to be careful with the navigation through here. Any and all damage taken matters, so now that we have the big key, we can go to a different part here.
So now we're about to get the item of the dungeon, which is the Can of Samaria. It's a really cool item. You get to you place blocks, and then you can use it again to shoot out beams in 4 different directions. And then sometimes, even in a later dungeon, you can use the Can of Samaria to create a platform to ride across to a different part of the dungeon.
This always was my favorite item in my first playthrough because I liked the concept of just saying, "Hello, here's a block. Do something with this," and never finding any use for it besides putting on an item, and then getting to that part where you can create platforms with it, and then being like, "My eyes have been opened. I understand everything now."
All right, so coming up is Spooky Mire glitch. So let's see if I can get it. It's gonna look really weird. Hold on. All right. So what I just did is I manipulated the game's IDs to where the fire rod hitbox is going to extend upwards to where I'm going to hit switches off screen. So there's a switch above me. Oops. Okay, so you just saw that I hit the switch that's normally a little bit higher up in the room, and I'm gonna hit a switch in the next room, like that. And then the third switch here, normally it's supposed to go all the way up to the very top, and just like that.
Yeah, very useful glitch to manipulate those positions because it just saves a lot of extra walking through this part of the dungeon. Now we head into the boss of Misery Mire. Yeah, so this boss, you're typically intended to have the hook shot here in order to take out these eyeballs from the bit of damage that we would normally be taking here, but we use damage boosting inside the area where we're normally taking damage with spit attacks to take them all out, and then from there, it's a bunch of arrows on the main eyeball. Very quick and nicely done, with plenty of room to spare at this point on that health pool.
Yeah, so that fight is pretty scary if it goes wrong. Those eyeballs do 4 hearts of damage. And if it goes wrong, then you're probably going to lose a lot of time because if you're low on hearts, then you just have to hope that you go through the fight. Fortunately, though, in 100%, I have the Cane of Burna, so which is an item that makes me invincible. So if the fight goes wrong, then I can use the Cane of Burna to make myself temporarily invincible for the fight. In any percent, you don't have that luxury.
Mm-hmm. Very similar item to Neighbor's Love from Ocarina of Time in that sense. Very useful in situations where you're absolutely like in mortal peril. You don't want to lose that time, so you take the little bit of time to equip the item, make yourself invulnerable, and keep yourself safe. All right, yeah, that's Misery Mire all done, and please tell me we're heading to the second dungeon this time. I want to see it, man.
All right, so coming up is the hardest trick in the game. Let's see if we can get this. I'm so nervous.
I'm nervous too. I'll give you focus time.
Yes, I did it! Oh my god, how did I do it? I'm so good.
He's cracked. Let's go.
So, basically, by using the mirror in any cave, then like on a moving block in any cave area, then it just erases the block for whatever reason. It works.
Yeah, don't know exactly what in the coding makes that glitch happen, but it is what it is. Things get deleted, it goes by quicker, and you can just get through quicker. Oh well, such is life. All right, is that what I think it is? Ah, he's not going there, man.
Yeah, I'm juking you a little bit.
What is this? I'm just asking you to go to the dungeon, man. It's not that hard, right? Surely you can do it, right?
Listen, man, I don't like water dungeons.
I get it. I understand. I'll wait. Fine.
Yeah, so we're getting the item here. We just the final medallion, Bombos. It is completely optional. One of my favorite items to use in a casual playthrough because it just destroys every enemy that's on the screen. But unfortunately, the animation takes so long that this item never gets used in the speedrun.
Yeah, you can very often, in the time it takes for Bombos to go off, kill all the enemies in the room that you were going to anyway. So, just isn't ultimately worth it. But oh my goodness, he's going in! We did it! We're there, boys! All right. So we've been out of order this whole time, and this is the intended second dungeon of the game. Words are hard. The item of this dungeon is one of the ones that is the most useful in a casual setting, but because of the things that we do have available to us via like bomb jumps and other tools, we don't end up having to actually get this item until much later in the run, which is now when we're finally entering the intended second dungeon of the run. And we'll get to that in a second here, but as we're progressing through, this is of course a water dungeon, so flippers, one of the things we did need flippers for was progressing through this dungeon in a way that is both safe and doesn't require you to do like fake flippers every single time.
Yeah. And so as a result, because we're now going into the second dungeon as our sixth dungeon, we're very over-equipped, so you're not going to die in this dungeon. So this is like a really nice breather point of the run, doing this dungeon this late.
Yeah, we have enemies doing 4 hearts of damage to you in Misery Mire. Most enemies here will do 1 heart to even that enemy right there does half a heart. And we've got 16 at this point. We're more than comfortable with making sure that we'll survive for this part.
Yeah. All right, so then at this point, we have time for a donation or announcement.
Sure thing. Well, you asked chat earlier to call out how many tries you think it would take for you to get through the digging game and the chess game. Someone was kind enough to pay up on their guess. We have an anonymous donation that sent in $10, and they say, I guess 10 tries earlier for the chess game, so I guess here's my $10 for that. Good luck with the rest of the run.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. So reminder, ladies and gentlemen, for getting your donations in, we have different targets and other things that you can be grabbing at this point, including, shilling myself here a second, the bonus game coming up tomorrow, which is Banjo-Tooie Any Percent No Bit Clips. It was the old Any Percent route before bit clips were found and was one of my favorite speedruns. I think you all will enjoy that. So if you have been enjoying the commentary of this run here, get your donations in for that one.
And that donation from earlier did in fact put their $10 to it. So we are 10 out of the 500 needed to meet that. I mean, it sounds like you've got a lot of time because it is tomorrow, but it's tomorrow afternoon. And we know how speedruns go here.
It'll be over before you know it. Get those donations in.
Yeah, I would like to see that run happen. Banjo-Tooie is a great speedrun for anyone who's never seen a run of that game.
Alrighty. So progression through the dungeon is not really the easiest to skip through. It's pretty much fastest to go just the intended route in most situations. Come over here to pick up the big key, which will allow us to access the boss as well as the item of this dungeon. Again, because it's meant to be one of the earlier dungeons here, there isn't really a whole lot to really talk about. It is optimizing your movement, making sure your Pegasus Dash is doing good, pumping at the right time, picking up items, sliding in specific locations to get past things in your way. But now that we've got the big key, we can come up over here and pick up the item of the dungeon, which is the hook shot. So yeah, the hook shot is what you were intended to have back in the Ice Palace, which you circumvent via the use of a bomb jump. And as you can see, it can hook onto targets and pull you to them, which depending on if you're in a room or need to cross a gap, it can either be required for crossing that gap or just faster to hook to something before you move through the rest of the room yourself. So, small cases like right here, you're seeing mchan hook shot to a skull head to get past that room just that little bit quicker than you could if you're using either a Pegasus Dash or a regular walk pump.
Yeah, and you're invincible while using the hook shot. And that's exploited a few times throughout the run in order to minimize damage.
Rudest door in the game right here. Took me so long to find that in my first playthrough when I was a kid. So rude.
All right, so we're coming to the boss, Argus. Really easy boss. And the fastest strategy, which I'm not going to do, involves doing the fight within 0 cycles, and that is defeating all the puffballs before he does the attack. But I'm not doing it because it's really hard to do. It's also RNG whether you get it or not, because he can just charge at you, hit you, and then you don't get the 0 cycle anyway. But if you do get it, it can save 6 seconds. But I'm doing the fight the way Nintendo intended to do this fight.
Yeah, and of course we have access to more items and more damage than we normally would here, so what would maybe take a few more hits than what happened there went by immediately quickly, so very well done. Boss is done and dusted, and we have finally completed dungeon number 2, which is the 6th dungeon we're doing out of 7, which means where are we going next? Dungeon number 7.
Yep. And so this is another long stretch until we actually get to the 7th dungeon. There is a trick to explain, but we're not going to get there for a little bit. So if you have maybe 1 or 2 things to talk about, then this would be a good time.
All right, well, let me go ahead and launch into the sticky business flag options, because I mentioned it a little earlier. Sticky Business is a run that we are having tomorrow afternoon. It is run by Scala Kitty, who we've mentioned a couple of times, designed the fantastic merch that you can find by typing !merch in chat, or just going to our website, powerupwithpride.org, should get you a link to our bonfire page where you can buy that. Again, all proceeds, if you find a shirt, a tote bag, a design that you like, will be going directly to Point of Pride. But Sticky Business lets Scala put her artistic talents to even more use, because Sticky Business is a game where you design stickers and sell them. And Scala's run is specifically to get all the Pride flags in there. And she will be able to use certain flags in the business, in the run. I am just looking at all these flag options, and I'm so excited for them, because all the flags are represented. Let me tell you, by default, Z will be using the Trans Pride, the Philly Pride, which I learned today is the rainbow with black and brown to represent BIPOC, and Also, let me just double check one more, which is the last one that will be used. But the flags that you can choose from, and the top three choices will be there, are agender, asexual, gay or men love men, gender fluid, intersex, lesbian, neopronoun, non-binary, pansexual, sapphic. If you can think of it, it is likely there, and you can see your flag in that run by making a donation and making sure it's in the top three when that incentive closes.
Okay, so coming up is bomb duplication. So I'm going the big bomb is available in the bomb shop, which is Link's house in the Dark World. So normally you're supposed to take the big bomb all the way around, but what I'm going to do is if I screen transition at the same time the bomb explodes, then the bomb will I keep the bomb on the next screen. Nice.
Yeah, very nicely done. Yeah, so being able to keep this on the next screen is incredibly good for... I'm blanking on what it's actually good for. Whoops.
It just saves having to go all the way around the area to get up to the top anyway.
Right, yeah, gotcha. Yeah, so we put the bomb down here, we wait for it to explode, and now we can enter this room here, which has a fountain. You can throw items into this fountain, and it will upgrade those items to a higher state. There's another fountain like this in another part that we don't use because the items it upgrades, we either have the highest tier of it anyway, or we don't actually need to upgrade it. So we upgrade our sword here, which increases the damage even further.
Yep, and then we're going to throw in our bow here, which will then upgrade our bow to silver arrows, which is an upgraded bow. It normally is supposed to be required, but there is a way to beat the game without the use of silver arrows, but it's 100%, so we get silver arrows anyway.
Yeah, just ends up being easier since we're coming here anyway to upgrade the sword to its highest tier of damage, to just grab that and make that life a lot easier.
Yep. And so from here on, I'm just collecting items, so you can continue with any more announcements.
Okay. Well, we have raised at this point $4,344, but I would love to see that hit an even $4,500 before the night ends. Because we've only got 2 more runs tonight. The rest of this fantastic 100% Link to the Past run that you've all been watching, and of course, the Link Between Worlds randomizer coming up next. And while we're rounding that up to $4,500, let me do some quick math there. That's $156. Feel free to put that towards our incentives because you can select both a target and a pull. So while you're helping us unlock Lord Fluffy's fantastic Banjo-Tooie run tomorrow, hint hint, you can also put it towards a pull at the same time. Whether you want to help us choose a character for the Chameleon Twist run, or maybe you just want to put more money to getting Lonk as our character file name in the Lex run. You know, I'm not going to judge you if you do. But you can select both a poll option and the Lord Fluffy Banjo-Tooie run. It's just your run now, Fluffy. I'm sorry. And put all of that towards helping Point of Pride.
Yeah. So get those donations in, everybody. You've got time, but you don't want to wait too long for it because it is this next afternoon, and you never know. I mean, like it's like a speed run. You're just playing the game. You're watching someone play the game, and then suddenly it's over. It's like, wait, what happened? They were still playing the game. You know, it's gonna be over in a bit.
It doesn't have to be RNG.
No, it's you can just make it consistent. RNG manipulate. Get those donations in, everyone. Yeah, so we're still just going through right now, collecting items as we make our way over to the final dungeon. This is a lot of the cleanup section here. We're going to go for a quick little, nicely done, a little walk on some walkable terrain there by making sure we stick to the wall, pick up another piece of heart. We are 2 hearts away right now from being complete, just one more heart container from the boss of the final dungeon, as well as the remaining heart pieces left to go. I love that. Just ram into the tree. Bye-bye, top.
Yeah, so if you remember, the lumberjacks were cutting down this tree earlier in the game, and when you defeat Aghanim, then the lumberjacks are done cutting that tree, so we can actually bonk into it and get that heart piece. So now we're going to fly to Lake Hylia and grab the ice rod. It is a required item, and it is very much out of the way, so it is an item that you can very easily forget. I have had a run where I did forget the ice rod before. It's not fun.
Yeah, no, it's one of those things where because it's so out of the way, it's very easy to forget. But because of the fact that it is a required item to complete the seed, you might get everything else. You might get like a 2-minute PB, and you're like, damn, I got a 2-minute PB, and then it turns out you didn't because you didn't get the ice rod. So, unfortunately, in that case, your run would be invalid. But even still, ice rod picked up. We've made sure that we're good at that. And now we're going to head on over to Turtle Rock, which is the final dungeon of the game. And this is the other use of Medallion, I believe, to open up this dungeon. Or
yes,
I think of something else. Yes, okay.
Yeah, so we got Quake on our way to Zora's Domain, and that item is required to enter Turtle Rock. So also with the hook shot, if I item dash with the hook shot, then that's another way to get super speed, and it's easier than setting up the spin speed method, as it's just simply pressing 2 buttons at the same time. So
right.
Very simple hammer puzzle in order to make the warp portal spawn.
Quickly grab super speed to make walking through this a bit faster. We transition into the dark world, use ourselves the Quake on the platform here, open up the path to the final dungeon, and at the start of this dungeon, we do have to be a bit careful, because even though we are at 18 hearts, this is meant to be the final dungeon, and you will be taking a lot of damage without the blue mail here. So still got to be careful.
Yeah, and this dungeon also uses the most amount of magic. So having half magic is actually really good in this dungeon.
Yeah, and you're seeing here the cane that we mentioned earlier that can create platforms is used for this dungeon, and you'll be using them to ride around. And you'll not only be using the cane's magic to make these platforms, but you'll also be using the fire rod to light torches, like right here, for example. So, you would not be... no one would fault you for taking time to grab a green potion for safety before this. Just to be sure you won't run out of magic. But there are thankfully a good amount of magic drops in the dungeon itself, so it's not going to be the end of the world if we do end up misusing a bit of magic here and there. So yeah, there are these points when you're riding this platform that the pathway you can go is split, and the direction you will go is the direction that Link is facing on those platforms. So it's important that you're paying attention and making sure that you're not accidentally going the wrong way and forcing yourself to take like a 5 to 10 second loop around whatever you're going through again.
Ooh, okay, come on. Oh, get me out of here. Get me out of here. Okay, we're good.
Whew. Oh, goodness. Those chain chops will destroy you.
Yeah, they do 4 hearts of damage, and you can get wrecked in that room very easily if they give you bad patterns.
Yeah, even at 18 hearts, that is only 5 hits from those chain chomps. You do not want to get hit by them.
Yeah.
We have a question in the chat here that I'm not actually sure of either. Does anything
Yeah,
happen?
I actually got super speed from Quake in order earlier when you saw me enter the dungeon really fast.
Yeah, I didn't actually know that.
Yeah. Okay, so you saw me fight a couple Pokies. They do 4 hearts of damage if you get hit by them. They have 4 different movement patterns, and so runners tend to memorize all 4 movement patterns for all 3 rooms that we see Pokies.
The thing here is to try and make sure that when you're running through here is to not get hit by those glowy star-like attacks. They will turn you briefly into a rabbit, which does make you defenseless. So if you do get hit by those, it should ideally be in a situation where you're going to screen transition to safety anyway, safely. So got to make sure you're being careful. Again, you still are in a lot of danger, only having, even at 18 hearts, like 5 hits worth of breathing room versus some enemies.
Yep. So we're going to go a little bit out of our way here in order to get a heart piece. This heart piece is something that a lot of people kind of have trouble finding, because like you wouldn't really think to use the mirror here. And then now we're in this cave, which is a very unusual cave because these are usually a Dark World enemy in a Light World cave.
Yeah, and these enemies, again, they will move in relation to how you move through the room. So, yeah, we pick up another heart piece there. 1 more to go, as well as the heart container in the final dungeon, Turtle Rock, and then we'll be done with collecting hearts, and we're very close to 100% at this point.
Yeah, so now going into the second half of the dungeon, and we're going to get the item of the dungeon, normally needed, but it is an optional item. It is the mirror shield, and the mirror shield is the highest tier upgrade for a shield. There is a lower tier shield that we did skip, which is the red shield, because we can get the mirror shield in this dungeon, so we don't need the red shield at all.
Yeah, which again goes back to the ruling that we don't need to worry about any lower tier upgrades if we can get the higher tier upgrades, and there'll be another case of that a little bit later on.
Yep.
With the red mail, because as you know, we have already skipped the blue mail from Ice Palace, so the red mail will be picked up later on. So again, this is a room where you're stuck in darkness and you have to navigate through. It can be difficult when you are new to the game, but of course, mchan has where to go memorized completely, so no issue here. The only real issue is making sure that you're not taking too much damage from the fire rods, but you can only control that so much.
Yeah. So coming up in this room, the big laser bridge normally is where the mirror shield is needed, and there is a strat to go through this bridge without the mirror shield. But since I have the mirror shield, I'm just gonna do it the intended way.
Yeah, normally these eyes that shoot out lasers can be blocked by the mirror shield, but you can thankfully just. It is skippable as it was said, but thankfully, again, because we do have the mirror shield, can just grab, just run through and grab it, no problem. I tripped over my words so bad there.
All right. So coming up is Trinex. So there's 3 heads. The blue head requires the fire rod. The red head requires the ice rod.
So you end up hitting the opposite.
Oh,
with
I didn't kill the... Okay. That's fine.
Yeah, so the ideal there is you hit the heads with the opposite rod in question, which will make them vulnerable. Slash them 3 times. Once both heads are down, the rock will be destroyed around the boss, at which point its long explosion animation will be done. A well-placed, well-timed spin attack plus an additional slash. The boss is down and dusted. That is the final dungeon that we get the crystals from. Down and done. The heart pieces, the heart container is collected, and we're almost at the end of the game.
Yeah, so three slashes to defeat each of the heads with the gold sword. Otherwise, with the temper sword, it's 5 slashes. So this is where having these powerful upgrades makes this end game really good.
Yeah.
So we finally rescued Zelda, and now that with all 7 maidens rescued, the barrier to the final dungeon, which is Ganon's Tower, will now open up. But before we do that, we're going to go ahead and get our final heart piece, and then be on our way to Ganon's Tower.
Yeah. So we are coming up at the end of the run here, and I wanted to say thank you again for meeting the quick any % bonus run at the end of this run. We will be doing that when the run is over, and I promise you, if you've been enjoying the last hour, 40 some odd minutes of gameplay from mchan here, you're either going to have a big chuckle, or you're going to be like, huh? For what you're about to see afterwards. Alrighty.
So now I'm not cheating here. There are platforms there. If you use Ether, then it will reveal those platforms. But I know where they're at, so I don't need to use Ether.
Are you sure, Mr. Streamer? Are you sure you didn't activate no clip there? You sure? Yeah, all jokes aside, yeah, there is another one of those cases of just memorizing where to go, and there is the final piece of heart, and we are done collecting hearts. We are so close to 100% at this point. Just need to make our way over to the the ultimate dungeon of the run, Ganon's Tower.
Yeah, so this is like Castle Dungeon. It's essentially a gauntlet of going through several rooms, several puzzles. The first half of the dungeon is going through several puzzles, and then the second half is pretty much a gauntlet of fighting several enemies.
Yeah, and this gauntlet will include refights of some of the earlier bosses in the game, but thankfully, because we are so powerful at this point, refighting them won't be that difficult compared to their original variants. They do have one of the bosses does have a little bit of a remix to it in the sense that it's supposed to make it slightly harder, but won't really make it that much harder. All right. So we're gonna quickly knock down those two. What are those guys called? I just called them like bobbleheads when I was younger.
I don't know. I don't know what you call them.
Yeah, that's something we didn't mention about the cane, and has been used a few times now. You can actually detonate the blocks that you put down, which can allow you to do little routing choices like that, where you put it down, run to where you need to go, detonate it, flip a switch, and now you're good to just go over there. Making use of some invuln frames there to get past the expected damage you're supposed to be taking from those moving spikes. Good maneuvering here. Very well done to get through that without taking a single hit. And now you're in a teleport maze. Again, another case of having memorized where to go to get through these rooms as quickly as possible. Very easy to get lost if you're not familiar with these situations. You know, mchan doing a very good job to avoid that with the wall recoil. We're making use of another wall recoil a little bit later on in this dungeon. Another case of there being a walkable path there. Nicely done to get through that. And right now you're seeing
Ice Armos.
Yeah, so as you can see, the Armos are the same bosses we fought in the first dungeon, but they die to one arrow, and you don't even have to worry about, the last one refilling itself. It's supposed to be more difficult because it's covered with ice, but it doesn't really make it that much more difficult. Pick up the big key, very possible to forget because there's two paths to go. You might just go to the left and completely forget it, and then have to backtrack the whole way. Not naming names fluffy, but someone's done that before. But yeah, we come over here to the big chest, and we pick it up, and that is the red mail. Now, because as I said before, that damage is not 100% consistent across the board, where like this attack always does 4 hearts or 3 hearts, etc. The most basic way to put this is 4 times damage reduction compared to the normal mail that you have in the game, which, again, not 100% accurate, but that's the most basic boil down of it. Alrighty.
So the combination of the mirror shield and silver arrows, it makes quick work of those mimics.
Yeah. Yeah, with so many items available to us now that we wouldn't necessarily get in a different category, it makes a lot of these rooms very trivial to get through. Right, we're not done with boss free fights yet. We have another one to go through in just a second. Right here is going to be another damage recoil. Oh, never mind. We don't need that this time. There is another
more damage than I would like to. So I'm just gonna go through the cannonball room.
Yeah, fair enough. Absolutely fair enough. But yeah, there is the room across there where you can pick up some fairies. So not doing that this time. No big deal. Not quite the right timing there to be able to throw that skull to take him out.
Come on, kill him. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, a little bit of the tracks on the ground, a little bit of enemy RNG there. Something you cannot in any way, shape, or form manipulate the movements of most enemies in this game. It is just a matter of adapting. All right. And now we're here in the second refight. Thankfully,
Nice.
again, the silver arrows excellently done. The silver arrows trivialized this fight by just making the boss explode in a single hit, and had absolutely perfect timing with the arrows, perfect positionings to be able to still hit the hitboxes. Very well done. Quick placement with the cane in a perfect position to hit all 3 of those enemies right away, takes them out immediately. And we're coming up close now.
Guy. Okay, there we go.
All right, and we're coming up very quickly on the end of Ganon's tower here, where we will do the refight with Aghanim.
I just want to say that if I didn't have you telling me it was a boss fight, Fluffy, I wouldn't know, because mchan's just trivializing those so much.
It is ridiculous. Not only just how powerful the silver arrows are, but how good mchan is at just nailing the positioning to kill them with no hesitation, no problem whatsoever. Because just like the original fight, you know, the RNG of where they come out, do they do a short hop, which direction they go, can make you take more than a single cycle there. So very well done on that one cycle.
Gonna refill on health and magic just to be a little bit safe. Normally I don't really do that but it's a marathon, not PB attempt, so just taking a little bit safe on the end game. So that's Moldorm again. 2 hits with the gold sword. You can't, technically there is a way to skip this fight, but it's insanely hard to do, and not very many people do it. It saves 6 seconds if you can do it first try, but loses a lot of time if you fail it. And then now coming up is the Aghanim rematch. So Aghanim is going to clone himself into 3 clones, and you have to try and hit all the energy shots into the real Aghanim. If you're really good, you can do this in 2 cycles, but it's random because the second cycle he can give you a blue ball. Ooh, that was a good first cycle.
Ooh, good job.
Oh man. Oh man.
Unfortunate. Yeah, the first one was really
you need
good.
really good geometry in order to do this fight really well.
Yeah, it was really good to get those first 3 hits, but not quite what you're looking for the second
But that
one.
was, I believe that was 4 cycles, which is still pretty good.
Oh my goodness, it's Ganon. He turned into a bat. He's running away.
Yeah,
What is
so
he
it
doing?
turns out Aghanim was Ganon all along. So now we gotta fight Ganon. Alright, so the Ganon fight is pretty straightforward in 100%. There's still more to talk about in the 80% run without silver arrows, but there's still quite a lot to talk about, so I'll let you take care of the explanation.
Yeah, so the Ganon fight is split up into phases. When we start, we can just simply damage Ganon right away. But later on, silver arrows will become required for damaging Ganon efficiently, as well as the fact that Ganon will become impossible to see without lighting the torches. So right now, we're just doing a bunch of damage to Ganon. Right now, while we're maneuvering around these attacks, even with the red mail, Ganon can deal a significant amount of damage to you. So it's still good to take the time to avoid them when possible. We've hit the second phase here, where the walls of the arena are going to start coming down. And should we fall into this, that is not very good. So we want to avoid falling into it as much as possible in this situation as we continue to damage Ganon here. There's the text box that signifies the next phase. So there we go. We put Ganon into a stun state, hit them with the arrows. The arrows are important for dealing damage here. We want to make sure that these torches are lit as much as possible. Excellently done. That is a
so time is when I enter the Triforce room.
Yeah, extremely clean Ganon fight there.
Time.
Very well done.
151.33. All right, that was a really good run. I'm happy with that.
GG.
Yeah. So yeah, pretty much everything that wasn't RNG went extremely well. I don't think a single thing was really more than first try.
There were a few things here and there, but most of what I wanted to go for went really well. So that was a really good run for me.
Yeah, basically nailed all the bomb jumps. Most of the boss fight strats went perfectly. Extremely well done run there from mchan.
Yeah. And we're not done yet because we got the any percent run coming up. So I guess we can set that up pretty shortly.
Absolutely. So, I mean, we'll be seeing y'all very shortly. So we'll just take a quick duck over to the big screen to get that set up, and we'll be right back for this any percent run.
I'll just reset right now.
I'll quickly hit the rest for it.
All right, folks. What a fantastic 100% run we just had. Oh my goodness, the sheer skill, the memorization, the perfect placements. Just unbelievable. Oh, chat, we're not done just yet because you all raised $1,000 for Point of Pride to get this next run met. That's right. You see that $4,344 there on the bottom of the screen? You raised a little under a quarter of that for the any percent run. How amazing for you! Well now, chat, I'm not going to keep you waiting for this any longer. The mchan338 and Lord Fluffy are back here. We're going to see all of what you just saw in about 4 minutes. Mchan, when you're ready, take it away.
All right. So yeah, like what Zokabun said, thank you guys so much for getting this incentive met. So we saw what a lot of the game was like if you didn't skip much of the game. Now we're gonna see what happens if we take advantage of all of the tricks available to us in about a short amount of time. So I'm going to give a little bit of context here, and that is that I'm not going to be doing the absolute fastest route of the game, which is about a minute. That route involves a bunch of frame perfect and pixel perfect clips and they're all unbuffered. So what I'm doing instead is a route where if you are just following along with what I'm doing, you can do exactly what I'm doing, and the trick will work on any version of this game. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. In 3, 2, 1, go.
Yeah, so the run starts off very much the same as the 100% run, in the sense that, you know, our uncle rather leaves. We go and follow him. We go to the castle, but diverges extremely quickly. And yeah, you know, as mentioned previously, we were running the 100% no major glitches category, and there was 3 there. There was restricted, unrestricted, and no major glitches. You can effectively treat this as like the pure any percent. This is completely unrestricted. Beat the game as fast as possible, and it's going to take use of a couple very major things that can absolutely break the game apart.
Walking in the rain. You know, this is all pretty normal stuff to the castle. And oh my gosh, our uncle's down already.
Man, so sad. He couldn't
So
even get
sad.
past the first room, man. Unfortunate. Well, Godspeed, Uncle. And now we're going to progress forward. So yeah, no, the 100%, 2 hours, any percent, 5 minutes. Very interested to see what you're gonna do here, mchan.
Yeah. So now we're in the castle. But you know what? I don't feel like it. So goodbye. Have a good rest of the marathon, everybody.
Isn't actually the end. We're still doing things. All right, yeah. So we do a quick little save warp there to get back to a specific location. We jumped off that ledge in that way specifically on purpose, which you will see why in just a little second here.
Yeah. So back to the castle. Now this time we're gonna go somewhere else. Oops. So we're gonna go up the stairs. We're gonna fight this blue soldier because I'm mad at him. Oh, wait, what? What just happened?
Huh, that doesn't seem right. You did activate no clip back there. I can't believe you would do that, dude. Come on. Man, I can see Link's head walking through the walls. You're no clipping. You're cheating. Come on, Mr. Streamer. What are you doing? I've never seen these rooms before, huh?
Yeah, I thought these tricks were banned just
like,
a while ago.
Oh, that doesn't look right, huh? What is that?
What is this?
That's odd. Where are you going, Mr. Streamer? I don't think I've ever seen this part.
Oh, I hear boss music. What is this?
Huh? What's
Time.
going on?
Excuse me?
That's it. Yeah. So mchan can go obviously into more detail with it, but yeah, that's Link to the Past any percent in 3 minutes.
Yes. So what I did there is a trick called exploration glitch. Saving and quitting while hopping off the ledge does set up for exploration glitch, and exploration glitch is basically essentially when you get hit, you're taken to a different layer of the map, and every dungeon room and cave room are all on the same map. If you watch some of the other major glitches categories, this trick is used a lot in order to do things completely out of order. In this case, we use exploration glitch to just go straight to the end of the game without having to fight any bosses, having to get any items, and that's it. And also the side effect here is because I didn't complete Hyrule Castle, the entire credit sequence is raining.
Yeah, it is it is an interesting and funny side effect of the use of it. And as you can imagine, being able to use that in other categories like 100% can absolutely break it apart. You can get into rooms that you are not supposed to access for hours to get things early.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so with that, that is it for me for the event. So thank you, Power Up with Pride staff, for letting me on for this. And actually, I do want to especially thank the Power Up with Pride staff because last marathon, Power Up with Pride, earlier this summer, I was supposed to run 100% A Link to the Past, but I had to drop out of the marathon due to personal circumstances. And so I'm very thankful that the Power Up with Pride staff gave me a second chance this time around to show this game off. So I'm very thankful. This is a fantastic community. If anyone is interested in knowing more about the Power Up with Pride community, we are very welcoming. Yeah, thank you guys so much. I hope you guys enjoyed both my runs, and thank you, Lord Fluffy, for hanging out with me on commentary, and thank you, Zokobun, for being on host. Both of you guys did a very good job, throughout the marathon.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you. Oh, this was so much fun. I'm sorry. I'm still kind of how? But no, that was fantastic, and I'm so pleased that you got a chance to come back and show this. If people want to see more of what you do, mchan, where can they find you?
I stream about a few days a week on twitch.tv/mchan338, where I speedrun this game, some other 2D Zelda games, as well as new Super Mario Bros. Games. So you can follow me on Twitch if you'd like to know more about the games that I run. If you enjoyed this, I'll continue. I might still continue running this game. And I'm also a Let's Player on YouTube at youtube.com/itsmchan338. If we're Let's Plays, daily Let's Plays of a bunch of casual games that I feel like playing. And yeah, so if you like what you saw, then you can go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube or follow me on Twitch.
And of course, Lord Fluffy, we've been saying it. If chat behaves, if chat helps us unlock it, they'll get to see you back for Banjo-Tooie tomorrow. But just in case they want to see more of you anyway, where can they find you?
You can find me at twitch.tv/LordFluffy. I don't stream very consistently as of right now, but you can see me speed running a multitude of different games, including Titanfall 2, including Diddy Kong Racing, which is a new passion. You can see me speed running Banjo-Tooie. You can see me speed running Final Fantasy XIV, the critically acclaimed MMORPG with a free trial that includes all the rowing porn. You can cut me off at any point. Of course, joking around. You can also find me on Twitter at LordFluffyX and out in Blue Sky at LordFluffy. So, thank you for having me, mchan. Always a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you very much. And with that, everybody have a good rest of the marathon.
And speaking of the rest of the marathon, chat, stick around. We're not done with our Zelda block today yet. Coming up, we have The Legend of Zelda: A Link Between Worlds Randomizer by Sin Pyro. So if you enjoyed what you just saw, you're not going to want to miss this. All right, chat. Oh my gosh. What a run. I am still awed by that any percent. Thank you all so much for helping us meet that. Again, like I said, you helped us raise $1,000 for Point of Pride. And we're ending day 3 here in Winter Pride 2023, and we've raised over $4,000. So, that was a quarter of that amount. And I'm so proud of you all. But that is it for me tonight, chat. I will be leaving you all in the fantastically capable hands of Joker, who you may have actually seen running earlier today. That's right, they ran Sonic R, and they are also a very talented host to boot, and it is my pleasure to be handing it off to them for the next run. Please stick around and chat, get a little stretch while we get that set up, maybe get some snacks. But we hope you continue to enjoy the run as we round out day 3 here at Winter Pride 2023.
Hello, guys, gals, and non-binary pals, and welcome on back to Winter Pride 2023 here, run by Power Up with Pride. My name is Joker, and I'll be guiding you here through our final run of the evening here, getting ready to round up day number 3, and we've got ourselves a fantastic randomizer of The Legend of Zelda: A Link Between Worlds by Sin Pyro. It's going to be so much fun. I'm so excited for this. Before we get everything rolling, because we are just about ready, I do want to remind you that this is supporting Point of Pride. Excuse me. Point of Pride is a trans-led 501c3 non-profit organization that specializes in different forms of direct support to trans folks, such as offering grants to cover gender-affirming surgery to trans folks who cannot afford it. If you would like to apply for one of Point of Pride's grants or garment programs, get involved as a donor or volunteer, or just learn more about them, please visit pointofpride.org. And if you want to donate towards Point of Pride to help out this fantastic cause, you can use that !donate in the chat. And when you do, please make sure that you are notating and putting your donation towards one of our open polls or targets, polls and targets. Right now we do have the bonus game number 2 open. It is Banjo-Tooie that should be ready to run tomorrow afternoon Eastern time. So if we can get there, it would be fantastic to see. That is a $500 goal. We have started off with $10 towards that, and I want to see if we can't make a challenge here. We do have a bit of a longer randomizer here scheduled, so I want to challenge chat here. I want to see if we can't make it at least halfway towards that goal. Can we do that and start off tomorrow on a great note here and see if we can't get Banjo-Tooie? See if we could do that. We also still have a couple of other polls open. We do have the file name Bid War that is still open here for the Link Between Worlds randomizer. Right now, Lonk is in the lead at $390 with Lunk behind at $125. And there's a bit of a gap there if you want to see Lunk take on the lead, and we don't have much time left. So if you want to see Lunk as the file name for the game, you need to get your donations in right now. We do still have a character choice bid war for Chameleon Twist, as well as the bonus flags for Sticky Business available as well towards your polls. So when you do donate using that !donate in chat, you can put your donation towards both the target of the bonus game as well as one of the polls and the bid wars that we have open. Looks like we are just about getting ready to get set here for our randomizer with Sin Pyro. We'll be back in just a few moments.